Will open with Boston College, Penn State, and Brigham Young, the national champion. The head coach figures when you play the best.
I feel like we can match up physically with anybody, and we ought to be able to run the football well with Paul Palmer. That's his style. He's a very quick back, so they don't have to hold the blocks very long. But we can overpower some people, I think, on our schedule. We have experience, but we're still young, and there's a very good chemistry. These kids have worked hard. They've been through a lot, you know, some close losses, some gratifying wins last year, and I think they're looking forward to the season.
As the Owls take the opening kickoff, strength meets strength. The Owls go right to tailback Paul Palmer. He's met by linebacker Robert Washington. It is a pair of helmets which will meet many times tonight. Washington appears designated to follow Palmer all over the field. To expose this key, Saltz fakes, freezes the linebackers, and hits Keith Gloucester for 14 yards and a first down. Saltz comes right back to Gloucester, but this time the ball is just off his fingertips. On 3rd and 7, a Palmer draw is met by Washington once more, and the Owls have to kick. Palmer returns to the field. It is with new determination. Paul Palmer simply stated hates to fumble. Now he wants the ball, and he'll get it. 9 yards off left tackle for some operating room. 6 yards off tackle, and this time the ball was dead before it came loose, so no fumble. Arians then calls fullback Shelley Poole's number, and Shelley bangs the middle for 11 yards. From midfield, Palmer follows Poole on a draw and breaks off a 16-yard gain. Finally, Saltz to the air on 3rd and 5. He hits Willie Marshall for a key first down, and the drive is alive. And when Shelley Poole hammers for 6 yards and another first down, the Owls are at the Pirates' 11-yard line. Next play, and Paul Palmer follows a convoy of blockers around right end, a touchdown. And with 3 minutes left in the first quarter, the Owls have drawn first blood. An 80-yard drive with 73 yards via the ground game, 50 for Palmer, 23 for Shelley Poole. The early battle in the trenches belongs to Temple. As the quarter winds down, the Owls defense holds again. And punter Tim Walters' kick is fielded by Eddie Parker at the Owls' 44. He returns it 16 yards, and the Owls are in business at the ECU 40. Arians calls for the halfback option featuring the strong arm of Paul Palmer, but a bit of miscommunication leaves no one near the ball but the Pirates' Kevin Walker. The threat ends for Temple, and as the gun sounds on quarter number 1, the Owls lead 7-0. Lee Saltz keeps and gets the first down, which ensures Temple's possession till time expires. 3rd and 11. Paul Palmer gets 10 of them, but is a yard short of the first down. Arians elects to let the clock run down, then sends freshman kicker Billy Wright out for his first field goal attempt as an Owl. The wait is interminable as both teams use timeouts. Finally, Wright kicks and misses the far side upright. It is no good. The half ends at 7-7. As half number 2 begins, Bruce Arians is not happy. His game plan is virtually perfect on both sides of the ball, yet the scoreboard says the game is tied. The Owls had done everything right except score. On the Pirates' first possession, the defensive line steps up. Number 49, Doug Davis, stops Anthony Simpson for a short gain. Then Davis once again in the right spot to nail quarterback Ron Jones on a keeper. The Owls have the ball without yielding a first down. Back to the ground they go. Paul Palmer for 6 yards off right tackle. Then the delay to Palmer, another 10-yard pickup. Yet another draw to Palmer, another first down inside the East Carolina 40-yard line. The Owls move nearly 40 yards, but again, no point as the drive stalls, and Kip Shenefeld's punt leaves East Carolina little operating room. At the bottom of the pile. In fact, Davis was overlooked as a high school senior by some who only checked the computer, not the heart and soul.
It works as a motivation factor. A lot of times, like when we go to play Penn State and stuff, a lot of us were recruited by them and looked over by them. You know, they passed us over for, you know, whatever reasons. And a lot of times it works as a motivator. And, you know, like tonight, you know, we come down here and, as, you know, people were saying we're the best 0-3 team in the country, but if we hadn't won tonight, we would have been, you know, the worst 0-4 team in the country. So we had, you know, a lot to prove. And, you know, we all, a bunch of tough kids. We just wanted to, you know, go out and put on a good show tonight.
Oh, Dougie's played outstanding for us for 3 years, and you know, he's probably been around longer, and he's the oldest guy in the squad, and he just gives us great competitiveness every time he steps on the field. And, so defensive linemen drove him to intercept a pass and score. I guess he came up about 6 or 7 yards short, but that was the biggest play of the night.
Doug's big moments seemed to burst the bubble of tension on the Owls bench. The offense only 6 yards away from the lead, wasted little time. Paul Palmer gets the first half of it on one try. Next play, right back to the man, Paul Palmer, and it is his second touchdown of the night. Just that quickly, the Owls are in front, 14-7. Bruce Arians knows that ECU is not a great comeback team, so holding the lead is quick. Little time remains in the third quarter. Back to the ground go the Owls, and now Bruce Arians can show his backfield depth. Todd McNair, the freshman tailback, gets 5 yards up the middle. Then Saltz hits another backup, Craig Sawyer, for 6 yards and a first down. Now inside ECU territory, McNair gets the call over the Owls' right side. The third quarter ends with the Owls 1st and 10 at the East Carolina 42-yard line. Arians will stay with McNair now, up the middle for 8 yards. And a first down. Back over Lloyd Yancey on the right side of the Owls line, and McNair gobbles up another 8 yards. Back to the attack comes Paul Palmer with the Owls 17 yards away from pay dirt. Palmer, en route to a school record 39 rushing attempts on the night, will get the call on 5 consecutive running plays. All of them run from tackle to tackle. Paul gets his yardage in small chunks now, 3, 4, and 5 yards at a pop. On second and goal at the 3, Palmer follows Yancey again. He's in for his third touchdown of the night, his 5th of the young season. The Owls have some breathing space with under 11 minutes to go at 21-7.
He had confidence in me, put me back in the game. Coach Prescott, he always has confidence in me, keeps me going. The offensive line, when you get out there and you see how hard they're working and they're hurting and everything, you can kind of overlook your little problems and kind of pull your way through. You see Shelly Poole working hard, his forehead is swollen, his eyes are swollen and everything, and then you kind of forget about your little hurts, when you see your teammates down like that and you kind of pull through it.
Yes, there were many Owls who were hurting, but it was time to gut it out. Behind that awesome offensive line, the left side is anchored by All-American John Ringstra, but the right side, well, it has an anchor all its own. Lloyd Yancey did not have the best week of his life leading up to East Carolina. The flu bug had bit. In fact, he was happy just to be playing.
This week was rough. Got sick on Sunday. I was in bed Monday and Tuesday. Tried to come out on Wednesday and practice. I've been trying to get my strength back, and I thought I had it back, before the game. First half, I just everything just came out, and I had to take a little break, and Doc helped me out. Got to come back
throughout the offensive unit. The Owls had succeeded where they had to the most. They had kept the East Carolina offense off the field, winning the time of possession battle by 10 minutes. ECU's last remaining weapon, the fast feet of quarterback Ron Jones. He tried to bring his team back, a 19-yard gallop on a keeper around the right side. Then Tony Baker, his longest second-half run, 15 yards down into Temple territory. No time for premature celebration from the Owls sidelines. With the clock working against them, the Pirates are finally forced to the air. Third and long at the Temple 26. Jones's pass for Tony Smith is incomplete. Fourth and long, the Pirates will go for it, but once more Jones fails to connect with his receiver. The Owls take over, dedicated to running out the clock. Here comes Paul Palmer once more. Tired but still game, Palmer gets 7 yards. Then on 3rd and 1, Palmer up the gut, a key first down. But as the clock continues to run, Palmer fumbles. Strong safety Bernard Wynn recovers. The Pirates will get another shot. But that threat is over before it really begins. The night's leading tackler, middle linebacker Bob Kokoskis, steps up and intercepts a Jones pass. He returns it to near midfield. The victory is virtually assured. Perhaps it was the glorious full moon over Pinkland Stadium. After 3 heart-wrenching losses, it was the Owls who were on the upside, a team which has outscored its opponents by 7 points, outrushed its opponents by 250 yards, and which has come to play on every snap of every game, now has a win under its belts. For Temple University football, the legendary Glenn Pop Warner leads the Owls to the first Sugar Bowl game ever played. That moment of glory is recaptured here at the College Football Hall of Fame in Kings Island, Ohio. All the great ones have taken up residence here, immortalized in glass and bronze. But more, they are immortalized in the minds and hearts of young dreamers everywhere, young men who reach for the same golden ring. There may not be a Hall of Fame awaiting the end of each player's tour of duty, but as Pop Warner said, the joy for each man who straps on the shoulder pads on fall Saturdays lives in each player's desire to reach his full potential. And as the 1985 edition of the Temple Owls prepared to do battle with Cincinnati just a few miles down Route 71, a contemporary football coach delivers a similar message.
The fighters and winners in this locker room right now. Proving that on the field. We've got to prove it every Saturday. Every Saturday. You got to go out and you got to prove it again. That's what this game is all about. And we start right now. Everybody's got to be blocking, tackling, hitting, cheering, yelling, into the ball game and having a hell of a good time. And we're going back home. Captains Davis, Cornelius, Wanstra, and Bowles with the pistols right now.
Temple Football 85, brought to you by Kodak Film, because time goes by. A puzzle for the Temple Owls. 3 straight wins to open the season featuring quarterback Danny McCoy. But McCoy had injured an ankle, and 2 straight losses followed. For Temple, McCoy was at best questionable, but the Owls had to prepare for McCoy just the same. If McCoy was not ready, it would be sophomore Billy Davis leading the Bearcats' attack. He more of a scrambler, and the Owls would be forced to adjust. The Owls elect to let the Bearcats take possession first, working into a nearly 20-mile-per-hour wind, and it was Billy Davis who came out to lead the attack. The Owls would first have to limit the effectiveness of tailback Reggie Taylor, who at 5'7" is oh so tough after the initial hit. He gets 6 yards on his first 2 carries, and Davis is forced to the air. When Steve Dominowski rattles Matt Daniels, the Owls will take possession without yielding a first down. This weekend, the Owls are minus a couple of skilled players. Shelley Poole will see limited duty at fullback. Todd McNair, injured against East Carolina, is back in Philadelphia, so Bruce Arians will be forced to go to the air right away in hopes of establishing Lee Saltz as a major factor. First play from scrimmage for the Owls, and Saltz hits Willie Marshall, 18 yards and a first down. Then the yardage machine, Paul Palmer, scoots for 13 more off right tackle. The Owls are in Bearcat territory. On first down, Saltz goes right back to Marshall, 11 yards and another first down. When Paul Palmer hits the sidelines for some equipment repairs, Arians goes to a virtual unknown, Shelley Morris as his primary ball carrier, and Morris responds. On back-to-back inside runs, Shelley gains 12 yards and a first down at the Cincinnati 21-yard line. The balanced attack is clicking. Saltz, a neat look-in pass for Andy Gerzinski. It's a 14-yard gain for the freshman, first and goal at the Bearcats' 7. And it is only fitting that Shelley Morris gets the call on first down again. He bangs into the end zone to complete the 9-play, 74-yard touchdown drive. Midway through the first quarter, the Owls are playing front runner, leading 7-0. already on top 7-0. With an inexperienced quarterback in the ball game, Arians wants to step up the pressure. A first down run by Reggie Taylor goes nowhere. But on 2nd and 9, a Davis flat pass to Daniels gets 12 yards and a first down. But Arians sees a spot to allow for the reemergence of one of his most talented players, linebacker Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles had spent the first 3 weeks of this season in an unfamiliar location on the sidelines. A preseason injury had raised questions about this potential All-American senior season.
Well, we were in goal line defense, and I was playing lock, sort of. And they threw it was sort of like a blue pass, a halfback pass over my other shoulder, and I turned and jumped and left my left hand out to break my fall. And me, Bruton, Andy Garlowski all came down on it. I rolled over, and there it was.
A multiple fracture of the wrist was the result. Todd finally suited up for East Carolina, but the rust was evident. In Cincinnati, however, again it was the big play from Todd which nearly changed the atmosphere of the entire football game.
We ran 41 week, and if there's only one receiver on my side, I get the blitz, just like against Toledo. We were hoping that they did a sprint out pass. They did sprint out with nobody to block me. And I had a clean shot, and you go for the strip and the tackle at the same time. It was open, there it was.
If we recover that fumble on the 20-yard line on their first possession when he blitzed, it might have been a totally different football game. But he's coming back. He's not there yet, but he's starting to make some plays. He's having a tough time playing off blockers with that hand, and they're blocking him more than he's been blocked in the past. But he's making plays, and he just gives us that great leadership out there.
It is more than just leadership. It is flat-out ability. Todd Bowles is one player who you cannot miss on the football field. He attacks the ball carrier, punishes receivers, and makes an offensive unit think twice before calling a play to his side of the football field. Todd knows he is not yet 100%, but he is ecstatic that he is already a contributor.
As far as fighting off blockers, I feel I have to use one arm. But making tackles, if I can get in the right position, it shouldn't bother me. But that's the problem, sometimes getting in the right position. So I'm making progress. We're 2-3. We're going for a bowl, hopefully. And we put together a string of wins these last 6 games. I'm sure I'll be somewhere in the middle.
Yes, the Bowles sack could have turned this game around early on, but Coach Dave Carey breathed a sigh of relief and put his quarterback right back to work. This completion to freshman Roosevelt Mukes left the Bearcats with a 3rd and 10. Davis fades and fires, and an overly aggressive Eddie Parker arrives too soon. It is pass interference Temple. The Bearcats' drive will continue. Finally, Reggie Taylor, who will carry the ball 36 times on the day, breaks one around the right side. He gains 25 yards. The Bearcats are in Temple territory for the first time. Then on 3rd and 11, Davis turns into a scrambler. The cutback puts him in the clear for 13 yards and a first down. Taylor now off right guard for 14 yards and a first down at the Temple 23. Another key 3rd down. This time, Carey calls the flanker screen to Mukes. He finds daylight for a first down to the Owls' 9. 2 plays later, and Davis smartly executes a quarterback draw right up the middle. He's in the end zone standing, and as the first quarter winds down, Cincinnati has tied it at 7-7. At 100-plus yardage day, handles the football on 5 consecutive plays. Inside and outside he goes, moving the Owls to 3 first downs into Cincinnati territory. But on 3rd down, Palmer fumbles, and middle linebacker Bob Leshnak is on it. The threat is canceled. Quarter number 3, a tale of 2 drives and of 2 kickers. The Bearcats go to work first in half number 2. Reggie Taylor scoots for 17 yards on the first play. Then quarterback Billy Davis, gaining confidence, smartly scrambles for 10 yards into Temple territory. Then freshman running back Al McKinney breaks loose. He gets 22 yards on his first run from scrimmage, and the Bearcats are inside the Temple 15. Here the defense stiffens. Taylor is stopped by Pilkoskas for a 2-yard loss, and Cincinnati must go for 3. But Barone's 27-yarder is wide left. The 4-minute, 66-yard drive comes up empty. Now from the 20, the Owls go to work. 5 consecutive Paul Palmer runs. The second one gets 11 yards around right end. 3 more runs yield another first down out across the Temple 41-yard line. Now Bruce Arians sees the Bearcats' aggressive pursuit and tries to take advantage with a reverse to Keith Gloucester. Gloucester bangs for 15 yards to the Cincinnati 41. Saltz then throws a bullet to Gloucester. He nearly breaks it into the end zone, but the 20-yard gain leaves the Owls at the Cincinnati 11. Arians goes for the reverse once more, but this time linebacker Alex Gordon is there. It's a 5-yard loss. The Owls must go for 3. Freshman Billy Wright gets the call. He sets and kicks, and it's wide right. Both teams have moved swiftly between the 20s, but neither team has points to show for it. As the third quarter winds down, the Bearcats still lead 10-7. The Owls will have one last chance in the third stanza from their own 18. First down, Palmer gets 8 yards. Then on 3rd and 2, he gets 5 for a first down. Saltz sends Palmer out as a flanker. He's got it on a delay pattern underneath the zone defense. A 17-yard gain into Bearcat territory. Then Palmer the runner. A 23-yard pickup. His longest run from scrimmage of the day to get the Owls close. When Shelley Poole pops off the bench for 8 yards and a first down, the Owls will begin quarter number 4, first and goal. On the first play of the last quarter, the Owls finally go back on top. Palmer around and into the end zone standing for a 14-10 Temple lead. On the Bearcats' next possession, a pass interference call will keep the drive alive. On 3rd and 13 at the Cincinnati 47, Davis hits Taylor for 12 yards. It's 4th and 1 with 11 minutes to go. Dick Carey chooses to go for it, but Taylor is stopped for no gain. First down, Temple Owls. Neither team could move the football, and on Cincinnati's next possession, they are forced to punt. Sean Burdick's punt dies at the Temple 5-yard line. When Lee Saltz is nailed for a 3-yard loss, back to his own 2-yard line, it's 3rd and 11. Will the Owls play it close to the vest and let the defense try to win the ball game? Bruce Arians says no.
For 3rd and 11, we've got to get a first down. They've blocked our punt, and we can't be playing cautious at that point in time, and we're to give the ball on the 50-yard line. We had to slow them down. The play was designed to hit Paul on an out and up. Really had caught that square in out of that formation 3 or 4 times, and the corner bit on the square and then saw Paul and came back off with it, and Lee had his arm cocked, just about let it go to Paul. And we cocked it and let it go a little bit high to Willie and went through his hands, and of course it bounced up. Luckily Keith Gloucester was running the clearing out, and it bounced right to him, and away he goes.
Away he goes indeed, a 96-yarder to break the backs of the Bearcats. One of the longest gains ever by Temple, the longest touchdown pass in the career of quarterback Lee Saltz. 2 years ago, Tim Reardon went down with an injury against Penn State. Into the ball game goes Lee Saltz, who nearly leads the Owls to an upset victory. After the game, Joe Paterno says that number 11 can really throw. 2 years later, Lee Saltz is a lot more than just number 11. On a team where Paul Palmer is the showcase, Saltz is often a supporting character. But on this day, the quarterback was the star. A 70% completion rate, over 300 passing yards, and at last, a break goes his way.
It's about time that one finally went our way. You know, we've had some tough breaks all year with field goals and just plays that could have gone either way, that they would have gone to the other team. So it's about time we got our share.
Lee has been providing his share of the offense. Even when Palmer is in charge, the hands of Lee Saltz are a key.
I think that's just another great credit actually to Paul Palmer, because teams are, like you said, are following him, and I know if I make a halfway decent fake to him that they're going to all run over there to him, try and stop him. So I try and work on that a lot and really have a good fake so that the receivers become more open that way.
His receivers were open most of the day at Riverfront, and Lee took advantage. His coach says Lee is always ready to take advantage of his opportunities.
He's a competitor, and one thing he does, he works hard at everything he does. That's why he's our number 1 quarterback, because he's first, and he runs hard, and he does everything, he works hard, and he wants to be good. And he makes plays for us, and we made big plays today.
My work habits are probably one of my strongest parts. I learned that in high school, and my 2 head coaches were very discipline-oriented, and that really helped me, and it carried over as far as my work habits are concerned into Temple. and it helps me. It helped me as far as winning my quarterback job and every other thing, even off the field. It really helps, and I think that is a really important factor.
After the 96-yarder gave the Owls a 21-10 lead, Arians knows the Bearcats will come back throwing. He sets up a deep zone defense with Eddie Parker playing center field. Parker does not commit to the receiver. He holds his ground. And when Davis's pass is too high, it falls into the lap of Parker, his second takeaway of the season. Immediately, the killer instinct for Temple. First play following the intercept, Arians calls for the streak pattern. Willie Marshall right up the sidelines. Saltz hits him right in stride for the knockout punch. When Cincinnati scored a touchdown with just 2 seconds remaining, the Temple Owls left Riverfront winners by a score of 28-16.
Come back in the second half and especially play the fourth quarter like we did. I was awful upset with our kicking game. We moved the ball extremely well and then don't get any points out of it. Now, it's two good field goal kickers on this team, and neither one of them's kicking very well. And it's time to get the lump by the throat and start kicking the football.
For homecoming day, the Owls will need more than just the breaks to go their way. They'll have to play hard-nosed football against the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers.
They got a good football team. I know that. They got a good defense. They're going to be ready for us. It's a good little rivalry going right now, and it's homecoming, and it's going to be nice to play at home. It's been a long time, and we're really looking forward to it.
For the first time all year, the schedule will work in Temple's favor. After playing 4 of 5 on the road, it is back to Veterans Stadium for a little while. Now with the travel behind them, secondary coach Nick Rapone sees things falling into place.
We're real excited. We've been on the road twice. We've come away with good victories. We're improving in every phase of the game. Our kicking game's improving. Our offense is improving. Paul Palmer's running hard. Defensively, some of the young kids are coming around. Some of the older kids have been playing very steady. We're excited to come back to Philadelphia for 2 weeks.
Week 1 begins today. It is homecoming with the Owls taking on the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers University. Rutgers is winless with a tough schedule that has seen them play the likes of Penn State and Florida. The cornerstone of Coach Dick Anderson's philosophy begins with solid defense, anchored by a talented linebacking core.
This linebacking core here is probably better than Penn State's linebacking core. What they have a youngster by the name of Tyrone Stowe, who was Sport Illustrated Player of the Week against Florida. He was second team All-East last year. The other linebacker, Ray Oakey, was honorable mention All-East last year, and he's been beaten out by a young man by the name of Matt Bachman. So between the trio, there's 3 pretty good linebackers. They're all good size. They're all about 220, and they just flat out get after you. Their offense is just that far away from being a good offense. They return 4 to 5 people on the offensive line. So like any good offensive team, you got to have that foundation, and they have it. They have 2 quality quarterbacks. Now, Hawkburn was benched last week for the first time. They're going with the young man Gagliardo, who's an excellent thrower. But they still have 2 fine quarterbacks. They're just a little ways away from coming on.
The similarities between the schools are evident. Like Temple, Rutgers is on the verge of establishing itself as an Eastern college football power. The traditions are not storied, but the futures are bright. Rapone thinks this competitive atmosphere can benefit both programs.
It's going to become a great rivalry. We've been here 2 years under Coach Arians, and the first year we beat them by a point, last year we lost by a point. We recruit the same student athlete, okay? We run into each other on the road recruiting. We play the same common opponents. So this is going to be a big rivalry, and I tell you what, each year it's going to be a close football game.
With Bruce Beck and Harry Donahue. Obviously, despite their records, both teams have some very capable football players. And let us begin with Rutgers, for example, Bruce. And look at a young man who got his first college start last week at quarterback, Joe Gagliardi. He had some big shoes to fill in Eric Hochberg. The jury is still out on his performance.
Well, it will be his second straight starting assignment. And on the year,
Gagliardi has clicked on 59% of his passes. According to offensive coordinator Dick Curl, Gagliardi must set his feet better before throwing the football and concentrate on his follow-through. Last week he tossed 4 interceptions. He must cut down on the errors today.
He, of course, also had 1 touchdown pass. This young man has been their tailback, Albert Smith. He will start at fullback today, hopefully to get Rutgers a little bit more speed in the backfield. This is the tailback, Matt Prescott. He has earned the starting job.
He's averaging over 4 yards per carry on the ground and proving dangerous as a receiver. Prescott poses an outside threat that Rutgers needs to unveil to be successful. He has good quickness, but must become more instinctive on his cutbacks. The sophomore is the Scarlet Knights running back of the future.
Defensively, the Scarlet Knights played an outstanding ball game against Boston College last Saturday. Bruce and I had a chance to see the ball game. This man was probably one of the 2 best defensive players on the field, George Piquel.
I think you're right. He was the most consistent performer on the defensive line. His fierce determination is supplemented by sound technical skills. He'll be giving away a number of pounds to Temple center Brian Gassert, so we'll have to depend on quickness and anticipation. He's all business.
And if Piquel was one of the 2 best defensive players, this was certainly the other one, Tyrone Stowe, who may be the best defensive player on the field today.
He plays every game like an All-America, leads the team in tackles and one-liners, says you can't turn back the hands of time, so why not win starting this week? Accelerates to the ball, knocks out ball carriers, and covers the entire ball field.
Steve Twomley is part of a very, very active secondary for Rutgers. He had 1 interception last week, looking for more today against Lee Saltz.
Twomley is a secondary man of dubious distinction. He covers the pass well and surrenders his body on running plays. He's the Knights' most experienced performer in the defensive backfield, has vigor for the game, and last week against Boston College, as you see here, came up with a circus interception and a scintillating return to go with it. So Twomley is a man who has to perform again today, Sam.
We were talking about Lee Saltz, a young junior quarterback who has, despite having a pass completion percentage of about 43 or 44%, Harry, in Bruce Arians' words, had a very, very good season. He's a young man who they expect to lead them every time they go on the field, and today is no differently.
Well, the thing about Lee Saltz is last year he shared a lot of the quarterback responsibilities with James Thompson. This year, he's been given the job, and I think that has made him a better quarterback. He's out of New Jersey, Randolph, New Jersey, just a 40-minute drive from Rutgers. He's coming off his best game last week where he threw for 307 yards, including a 96-yard touchdown, which is a school mark. And Saltz, like I said, has the confidence, and he also is able to play fake, and I think that really freezes the secondary because they're looking for Paul Palmer, of course, all the time.
Yeah, you mentioned, you hit the key button right there. Paul Palmer, who has had, 8 straight 100-yard rushing games now.
Going for number 9 today. He's only a couple hundred yards away from the school rushing record. He is actually leading the nation in total yardage with 839, and the thing about him, that move right there, it's uncoachable. He comes up to the line, and bingo, he cuts on a dime, cuts outside, and usually there's nobody there.
Well, Bruce Arians told me this week this is the best offensive line that he has ever been associated with, led by this All-American, John Reenstra, and you're talking about a man who was an assistant coach at both Alabama and Mississippi State. Willie Marshall is the other receiver to Gloucester. They both have outstanding speed. Tell me more about Marshall.
Well, he's a big play receiver, too. Usually gets behind the secondary. A lot of times that's because of the play-action faking ability of quarterback Lee Saltz. And Saltz and Marshall this year have come into their own as a combination. This pass here against BYU, there's Willie behind his man, and bingo, the pass is right there, and he usually holds on.
And Rutgers isn't the only team that plays some good D. Temple will play some good defense. The inspiration comes from their middle linebacker, Bob Pilkauskis, who is the second leading tackler. As you see, the outside linebacker, John Smith, is the leading tackler at the moment.
And Bob also gets his hands on the interception once in a while. He has 2 to lead the team in that department. Shares that with Steve Dominowski, another linebacker we'll talk about later. Pilkauskis makes up for size, I think, and speed maybe with just a lot of determination. And he's always around the football, whether it's thrown or on the ground.
Okay, you were your own best lead. Let's talk about Dominowski. He's next.
Dominowski's getting his first shot as a starter this season. He's backed up a few years at Temple, but he's a real hard hitter. Once again, not great size or speed, but he makes up with a lot of determination, a lot of heart, and he may be the toughest hitter on the team, except for one other guy who we're going to talk about, Todd Bowles.
Yeah, Todd Bowles has missed 3 games this season. He, in fact, missed about 6 weeks of work because of an injury, but he is back, and he is really the best defensive player in the secondary as far as Temple is concerned. So as you can see, both sides have some quality football players. We've given you an idea of about 13 or 14 players that we expect to be key in the ballgame. They all won't play vital roles, but I think out of that group, you will find some stars today. We've set the scene with the players. Let's come back and talk about the coaches. More of our pregame activity from the Vet in Philly right after this. products who remind you there's a daily treat for everyone. And by Meyer Siegel & Associates, fine family of foods, Lamagna cheese, the ricotta for all reasons, and Rocca's gourmet pasta. Homemade pasta has never been so easy. And by Long John Silver's Seafood Shops. For fish, chicken, and a whole lot more, Long John Silver sounds good to me. And Dick Anderson are two of the brightest young coaching stars on the horizon would be an understatement. Arians now in his third season started with a 4-7 record, then went to 6-5 last year. On the other hand, Dick Anderson in his second full year at Rutgers, 7-3 in 1984, not having a good year as you know this year, but the season has a long way to go. And we asked Coach Anderson about how the club has gone so far this year.
No doubt has been a very difficult one for us. We've played an extremely tough schedule, and on top of it, we've run into a number of injuries. But all in all, I think our football team has performed very well. I thought our performance up at Army was somewhat subpar, but that was about the only one. We played Penn State, I thought, really tough, and of course down in Florida, I thought we played very well. And last week we played a tough football game. I think we're going to be in for a tough football game today.
No letdown in sight. Rutgers beat us last year by 1 point. The year before, we beat them by 1 point. This history of this football game has been a very tough, physical, close football game. Our players are really looking forward to it. It's a do-or-die situation for us as well as Rutgers.
In trying to review our offensive performance thus far this year, I would say it's been inconsistent. One of the things that we must do is we've got to be able to put together some drives, make some first downs, and not turn the football over. We need to do that, first of all, for the defense's sake. We've got to be able to keep them off the football field a little bit. When we talk about our defense, I think our defense has been a really scrappy bunch of kids who have come to play, and they've worked very hard at the game, and we have given up a couple of big plays on occasions, which really has hurt us. But overall, I think our defense has performed well. When we think about winning today, what are the things that we're going to have to do to win? Well, I think number one, we're going to have to hold on to the football. We certainly can't turn it over as we did last week with fumbles and interceptions. Secondly, I think we're going to have to stay away from penalties. That's plagued us throughout the season. And then I think third, we've got to develop some type of consistency on both sides of the football where we can make a big play and at the same time not give up a big play.
I think to win today's football game, defensively, we're going to have to do a great job of stopping Albert Smith. They're fine running back and pressure the quarterback. They've got two fine quarterbacks, Rusty Hochberg and Joe Gagliardi, two different style quarterbacks. I think Gagliardi's playing. We're going to have to do a great job of containing him. If Hochberg's in the ball game, who's a little bit less mobile, more drop back, we're going to have to pressure him and really get after him to force the turnovers. Offensively, we've got to score every time we get a possession inside the 50-yard line and continue to use Paul Palmer as an effective running back in the play-action pass off of that.
Are supposed to drop right at the midfield. I don't know if they'll be on target. Hopefully they will. And here they come. And they're just coming now within the center of the stadium and down to the... Yeah, not bad. Touchdown at the 22-yard line. And the other one now circling behind the goalpost to our left and will enter the same way. So homecoming is officially underway. The captain's meeting with the officials in the center of the field. And this... that was a little... I've been on a few flights that I felt like that.
They almost gave the low deck to the officials there, Sam.
He did indeed.
Pretty good accuracy in that last drop.
You're looking at the officials in the center. Here come a few more parachuters heading down as the pregame activity goes on in the center. I'm
going to catch it. If I fail to catch it, we will toss it again. Are you ready? Heads was the call. It is a head. It is your choice to make it.
Rutgers is called heads, and they have called it correctly, so they want the football, and they will receive to start this football game. And Temple indicating which goal they want to defend. That means that Bill Wright will do the kicking off now for the Temple Owls to start the football game. And the captains again shaking hands and wishing good luck to each other. They have played 2 one-point football games now in the last 2 years. You can't ask to get any closer than that. Temperatures, we indicated the mid-50s. Slight wind out of the east, and it's a mostly sunny afternoon indeed. We may reach the 60s before the day is over, but nobody here is going to complain. It is an absolutely perfect day for college football.
You know, the winds may be out of the east, Sam, but this is an open stadium at the top, and the winds just swirl around, and you really can't go by what the guys at the airport are saying in terms of wind direction. It just comes in here and swirls all over.
That accounted for all of Rutgers scoring. So we are about set to go. Eric Young in a deep receiving spot along with Albert Smith now for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Here's a kick by Wright. It is end over end. And 5 yards deep in the end zone is Young. He will down it. The offensive skill position people. Gagliardi begin tight end. You'll see a lot of Allen before. Replacing an injured center to start this football game. From the 20-yard line, Rutgers 1st and 10 from the I formation. And Gagliardi to throw it. He drops it out here to Kepka. To the 30. And still on his feet, he falls forward to the 35. Standing crew. Smith, the leading tacker. Pilkauskas, the second leading tacker. Dominowski. Bruton and Herter at the corners. And Todd Bowles. Back after having missed 3 games. This is Smith. Across the 40 to the 44 on 1st and 10 from the 49. Gagliardi's in trouble, and he throws it away. Very, very smart move by Joe Gagliardi. Pilkauskas was chasing him all the way back to the 40-yard line, and also Todd Bowles was there, but Gagliardi smartly got second down 10 Rutgers from the Temple 49-yard line. We're just underway. I formation. The up back is Smith for a couple of... Young is split wide to the right. Aaron Gibson, number 3 to the left on 3rd and 6, and Gagliardi in a short drop. Pressure, down he goes. Back at the 45-yard line. Temple got some pressure on with a good high spiral. Turner right on the 15-yard line. And there's no place to go. So Temple lays its hands on the football for the first time this afternoon, and they will begin from just over their 15-yard line. Lee Saltz is the quarterback. He's got Shelley Poole, number 44, and 6 Paul Palmer in the backfield behind him. Split receivers left and right. Then they start Hinnon out in motion. Palmer with Hinnon leading the block into about the...
Well, against the Rutgers defense, as we look at the skilled people for Temple behind Lee Saltz. Number 6, of course, the key guy, Paul Palmer.
We've got Andy Garzinski in at one receiver. Willie Marshall is split wide to the left, just at the top of your picture. And here is a deliberate
offensive lineup. They're a left-handed team primarily with Constant Rienstra. Rienstra, of course, their All-American candidate, their left guard, and they expect him to be maybe first-round, early second-round pick in the NFL draft.
It is 3rd down and 5 now for Temple. Lee Saltz, the quarterback. He's got one setback behind him. Puts Palmer on a wing, and he gives it straight ahead to his fullback, Shelley Poole, and he will be 2 or 3 yards shy of the first down.
They did it last year, the 1983 season.
So they'll spot the ball right at the 33-yard line. Holding for him is number 87, Scott Drake. The placement, Angstad's kick is up. It's long enough, and it is good. A 43-yard field goal by Tom Angstad, and Rutgers has drawn first one of this football game with exactly 6 minutes and 36 seconds to go in the first quarter. It's Rutgers 3 and Temple nothing.
With plays and mixed it up a little bit of diversity in that last drive for Rutgers.
Second time that Temple has touched the football today. Hinnon comes strong side to the right. In the I formation, this is Palmer. Almost a flex sort of defense, which, as you know, is very effective against the run. This time, Paul trips the light fantastic to the 33-yard line, walking gingerly through the line there. Darrell Brittingham combining with Jim Piquet. Let's see what Saltz does this time. Last time, they elected to stay on the ground with Shelley Poole and did not get the first down.
They've got Palmer in the slot again, Sam.
Saltz has time. Trips and falls, gets back on his feet, avoids the tackle, and will be about 2 yards shy of the first down. They whistle the play dead. So it'll be a good opportunity now for Temple with field position in plus territory at the 41-yard line of Rutgers.
Great to follow a guy like Carter where you're looking at the defense coming right down your throat and you still decide to take it at him and attack. You got to love it.
Let's see if Lee Saltz can do anything here. His team trailing 3-0 in the waning minutes of the first quarter. Rutgers has done a number on the clock and on Temple. Play action. Delivers the ball, and it's incomplete, intended for Shelley Poole out of wide receivers. And he'll change those wide receivers. Right now, Garzinski's at the top of the screen in place of Gloucester. They got Willie Marshall split out wide to the right. Hinnon is a wing on the right now, as Saltz just threw his first pass of the game with under 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. Palmer for 5 yards, 3rd down and 5. They have not really had an enviable 3rd down situation in 3 possessions. 3rd and 5 is no bargain. And the give to Palmer. They're going to let him do it, and he does it. Inside the 30 to the 28-yard line, stopped there by the strong safety Lou Morrow, but a 7-yard pickup and Temple's first ball Palmer. Marshall wide to the left and Garzinski to the right. Hinnant now comes strong side to the right in the I formation again for Temple. They're down 3-0 to Rutgers early on. This is Palmer. Oh, and a great deep 9 for the Owls. That's Gloucester in motion. And here's a pitch to Palmer. Here's a reverse to Marshall. Looking in the end zone, throws a pass downfield, and it is caught out of the field of play. It is caught by Keith Gloucester, but to Rutgers' credit, they were not fooled at all. They had double coverage on Gloucester. Number 2, Darrell Brittingham, and number 21, Steve inside the end zone. He doesn't mind if he's beaten out of the field of play, I can tell you that. 3rd and 9. Gagliardi, or rather, Saltz over the middle, and it's complete at the 13-yard line. Caught by Willie Marshall, number 84, and that will be a Temple behind. 1st down and 10 to go Temple to the Rutgers 12-yard line. This Scarlet Knight defensive unit, a very game group of young men. Here's Palmer, he's free, and he calls for the 1. The ball outside the 2-yard line, saying that's where his knee touched. It's 2nd and less than 1. Palmer falls forward. He may have the 1st down. He does not have the touchdown scoreboard here in the first quarter because time is cheerleaders in anticipation of what they hope will be a touchdown here as we begin play in the second quarter. It is 3rd down and less than a yard. It is 3rd down and 2 for a touchdown for Temple. They trail Rutgers 3-0. The pitch is to Palmer. He gets a block from Poole, goes outside and untouched into the end zone. Touchdown Temple. Well, it was Shelley Poole, 44, the fullback, that led the blocking on that sweep to the open side of the field, the wide side, and Paul Palmer just coasting his way in for his 7th touchdown of the season.
Lou Morrow, Rutgers' strong safety, made an intelligent play, came in, he tried to make the stop, but Palmer, with his great speed, was able to beat him to the outside. Look for number 14 of Rutgers. Morrow, there was his opportunity. And finally, Palmer just picks and chooses, and he goes in for
the extra point, the placement, and the kick by Bill is up, and it is good. Give is to Shelley Poole. Maybe
with the ball, he makes something happen, and that adds a dimension to the team.
Ellis Primus is wide to the right and Garzinski to the left. It is 2nd down and 5, Temple from the I formation. Here's the pitch to Palmer. Got away from one tackler into the 45 and was split out of the left side. Number 70, John Rienstra. Let's see Big John, the left guard, come pulling across the screen. The tosses to Palmer. There goes Rienstra out there, and Peru lowers the block there. And in 69 here, Hoke has a shot, and Palmer has not made it easy for the Owls. They are a scrappy band of defensive players of the Scarlet Knights. Delay of game perhaps. Palmer might have had the 1st down. Enough of the nonsense. Temple trying to move the football here, and Saltz will throw it. He has good protection, delivers the ball, it is short. His receiver slipped and fell.
Choose from the full line of daily. Temple University alumni proudly talking about Temple.
Coming out of Temple, I had a definite competitive advantage. Temple grads hit the ground running.
For Temple students studying architecture, or anything really, the city is a tremendous resource.
My studies at Temple left me with a very strong understanding of the financial markets.
The theater department here at Temple is top rate. They really prepare you.
Temple University works.
William and Mary by scoring 70 points against the Indians over the last 2 years. Saturday, October 19th, an improved Indians football team will invade Veterans Stadium, looking for revenge. Plus, the Owls' fireworks spectacular in the sky will follow the explosions on the field. For tickets, 215-787-OWLS. Tickets also available at Ticketron. October 19th, Owls, Indians, and fireworks.
Referee is marking it's a dead ball at midfield. John Smith, guy we just said we haven't heard his name mentioned too often today. Gagliardi has time, but throws over the middle. It's always going to be crowded over the middle. Look at the great one-handed catch by Smith, and he goes down on one knee. Oh, he knows he's dead right there. Then he threw the ball up in the air, and Rutgers said, "Looky, we got it back again." You know, well, that would have been a real giveaway, but Smith knew what he was doing. Great one-handed catch, and then he goes down. He knows the dead ball right there. Back live. You couldn't ask for a better finish. 49-yard line. Temple can still win it. Here's the option to Palmer. The flag is down, and he's trapped in his backfield.
Penn charter Bill Gallagher, former running back for Notre Dame, played under Ara Parsegian with the Irish and out of Father Judge High School, where he was an all-Catholic here in Philadelphia.
Holding on the offense. First down.
Clock starts to move again. It is first down and 20 for the Temple Owls back at their 39-yard line. Saltz throws a flare out here to Palmer. Big play here on second down and long. With the incompletion, the clock stops, of course. 2:56 to play. Saltz is 2 out of 9 for 40 yards throwing the football today. A far cry from his 14 out of 20 for over 300 yards last week. But this Rutgers defense is not chopped liver, I can tell you that. They have just been so game and so scrappy. Saltz play action pass. Looking downfield, arches one. He's got Garzinski, and he caught the ball at the 36-yard line. 24 yards from Lee Saltz to Andy Garzinski. This is like a parachute behind enemy lines, the way he touches this into Garzinski. There's 4 Rutgers defenders around him, and the ball was right in Garzinski's hands on the run. Saltz couldn't have thrown it any better. From the 36-yard line of Rutgers, Saltz back to pass again. Palmer swinging out of the backfield at the 30. Puts a move on the linebacker and gets to the 26. He's tackled there by George Piquel. That's 10 yards and very close to another first down by the Owls. And this crowd has come alive. Other than the touchdown run by Palmer in the second quarter, they have had very little to cheer about today.
Palmer had just dropped one, so he made sure that he cradled the pumpkin on that time.
It is enough for a first down. 2:20 to play. Palmer tackled behind the Sports Information Director Al Schreier and the Assistant Sports Information Director Michael Kane. We thank you, gentlemen, one and all.
I think Temple realizes now that this is the last drive. They're down to one timeout. They're not going to get the football back if Rutgers gets the ball anyway, so this is do or die. This series.
It is second down and 12 at the 28-yard line of Rutgers. Temple needs a touchdown and a conversion to win it. Rutgers needs to keep them out of the end zone for their first victory of the year. Option, Palmer. And another great play by Tyler. As a matter of fact, most times, the defender doesn't know where the sidelines is, and that's why he's got to be thinking all the times. And a play like that in this situation, the absolute cardinal sin of all cardinal sin. I believe that was Lou Cipriano. Was it number 80? Here's Saltz front out, one in the end zone, and it is caught. Touchdown, Marshall! Unbelievable! Bedlam is broken loose here at the vet in Philadelphia. Screamers coming down from the stands.
This is basically an alley-oop. Harold Carmichael earned a living doing this with the Philadelphia Eagles. Saltz with the short touch. Marshall leaps over the defender, and he comes down with the ball in front of Gene Austin for the touchdown. And for Willie Marshall. And the conversion by Wright, the all-important conversion, gives Temple a 14-13 lead. But we still have a minute 57 to play. Let's take a look at it again. Following that controversial personal foul call against Rutgers, Lee Saltz wastes no time in throwing the 13-yard touchdown pass. You know, I'm a little surprised that they put it up down here. They have plenty of time left to go with 2 minutes to go in the game, and they still won up to Willie Marshall, and he had, two defenders there and a linebacker closing. I thought they'd keep it on the ground with Palmer. They're only, inside the 20-yard line.
That man is happy, that's for sure. Willie Marshall, who beat Austin and Will Dunster, and the junior from Brown Mills, New Jersey. Just a fine individual effort.
And you're exactly right, Harry. It's not only a dubious call at that particular point, because they had time, and they had a timeout remaining, but I think the feeling there was to go get it, and Arians is such an incredible coach in that regard. He goes for the juggler, and he knows that Marshall's got the ability to go get the football. But what it does now, with a minute 57, Angstad has a chance to win the football game with the field goal for Rutgers if they can just maintain possession, get a couple first downs, and get it down inside the 40-yard line. I have a feeling that was the least of Bruce Arians' concerns. That's true. He needed the 7 first before he can worry about stopping 3. You got that right. He got the 7. Now let's see what happens. And you're right, there is
too much yard to set up the field goal. There's the combination that just hooked up for 6 points and put the Owls in a position.
Shortcoming may have been that he pulled the trigger a little bit late. Gibson was wide open 5 seconds earlier, or even 2 seconds earlier. But Herder closes on the football and is able to make the interception.
It was a little late in developing. Now watch Herder go up on this play and just make a tremendous interception. Both players did not have the ball. It was Herder clearly who had it, and Gagliardi took some shot as he threw the football. Now he has to just watch.
And Rutgers is unable to stop the clock. We're under a minute to play in the game, and Temple can take 3 more snaps. And Rutgers is helpless to do anything about it. What a great play by Purvis Herder, but I'll tell you something, Bruce. Gagliardi put that ball right into Gibson's mitts, and it was just a matter of who would come away with the ball.
The ball was certainly out there. Both players went for it. You know, if they both come down with it, the offensive man gets the possession. But it was clearly a case where Herder won the battle.
So in most heartbreaking fashion, Dick Anderson's Rutgers Scarlet Knights are going to go 0-4 and 1 tie. That's it. Bruce Arians walking across the field to meet Dick Anderson as the Temple Owls fighting uphill all season long, having started 0-3. They've come back with successive victories over East Carolina, Cincinnati, and Rutgers, but this one was a hard stopper. A 13-yard touchdown pass from Lee Saltz to Willie Marshall with about 2 minutes to play in the game, following a most controversial call on a personal foul call, and now Dick Anderson is walking off the field with the officials, letting his feelings be known. And, you know, the call may have been right, but you got to have a lot of guts to make that call at that point in the football game, and under those circumstances, I would think.
Well, it was certainly a controversial call at that point in time. Temple executed a beautiful play after that. No one can question it, but what we're questioning is the opportunity that Temple had to go in there and score the winning touchdown. And
I was surprised at the call in that situation. You still had 2 minutes to go in the football game. You needed to get into the end zone. You just had a penalty to put the ball inside the 15-yard line, and then you go and put it up. I thought maybe you'd stay on the ground with Paul and use up as much clock as possible. What was going on?
I just think that was a great call by Coach Arians. I think he caught them as off guard as he caught you, baby. Once again, he has a lot of confidence in our passing game, and especially a lot of confidence in Willie, because he's a great receiver and he can make plays like that. So a lot of credit just goes to Willie Marshall on that.
Don't go away, Lee. Willie Marshall came up with the big catch again. Willie, you do it every concert, don't you? You had that Pittsburgh catch last year that helped set up the winning field goal, and today you came up with a touchdown. You had to leave your feet for it.
Lee put the ball in, the place where only I could have got up and got it. Coach Arians has a lot of confidence in that play. He has the confidence in my ability. He just called that play at the right time, and I knew I was going to get that ball away.
Now, the passing game today did not seem to be clicking, at least in the first first half and up until the end, really. I mean, you were getting most of your yardage on the ground. What was Rutgers doing defensively to deny you the football?
Well, it wasn't so much Rutgers was denying this football. We were basically doing things that were counteracting each other. You got to have a successful run game in order to have a successful, passing game. And we weren't really hitting the run game real well, so it didn't open anything up for the pass because they could basically play in blitzes, when they thought we were going to pass. So it wasn't really too much that Rutgers was doing. They have a great defense, and they were playing very well. But I do believe if we had played the run game a little better in the first half, we'd have opened up, the passing game a little more.
Lee, you were coming off your best game as a collegiate quarterback last week against Cincinnati, 307 yards. Slow start today. We were just talking to Willie about it. Was it Rutgers' defense, or was the game plan pretty much to stay on the ground?
No, I think we had planned pretty much to keep it on the ground this week and try and dominate the line of scrimmage like we've done in every game so far. And I guess it just turned a little bit, things changed, and the complexion of the game changed when we opened up the passing game a little bit. And I guess that's what we had planned to do.
All right, gentlemen, another fantastic effort by Lee Saltz and Willie Marshall to bring home everything in a victorious way, 14-13 for the Temple Owls. And we'll have some comments from Coach Bruce Arians as well, but first, let's go back up to Sam Nover. Sam?
Okay, Harry, very good. Nice to hear from those two young men, and we'll come back to you in just a few minutes.
Here comes Andre Johnson once more. This first down run puts him over 100 yards for the first time in his career. Then on second down, Johnson breaks a tackle, winds up with another 15-yard gain, 1st and 10 at the Temple 45. Then Johnson cuts inside left tackle. It's another 8-yard pickup, another first down, now at the Temple 33. 3 plays later, it's 3rd and 2. Again, Timko, the quick pitch to Johnson. With plenty of daylight, he rumbles down to the 13-yard line. The Ears see no reason to change the working strategy. So on first down, Timko pinches to Johnson again. He's got an alley to the outside. He finds the corner of the end zone. It is a touchdown. 66 yards on the drive, all of them via the ground game. 58 yards by Andre Johnson. The Mountaineers have dominated the line of scrimmage, and when they add a field goal later in the third quarter, West Virginia carried a 23-3 lead into quarter number 4. The Owls, though, weren't quite through for the day. Early fourth quarter, Lee Saltz finally sees the opportunity to use his number one weapon today, junior wide receiver Willie Marshall. First down at the 20, Saltz play fakes, then drills one to Willie along the sidelines. It's a 15-yard gain. Then on 3rd and 7, Saltz will look for Marshall again. This time the inside hook route is successful. Another 15-yard pickup now into West Virginia territory. Now a different weapon for Saltz. Keith Gloucester has a big cushion. So this completion is good for 16 yards in front of the West Virginia deep drop. First down at the 32. Back to the ground now, and Shelly Morris is quick through the crease. He hammers inside for 16 yards, his longest run of the day. First down, Temple. Then Shelly Poole, the unsung fullback, takes it the same route, right up the middle. He bulls into the end zone. The Owls have their first touchdown of the day. It is 23-10 West Virginia with 9 minutes remaining. The defense then does what it has to do, holding West Virginia to 3 downs and a punt. The offense has another chance. From their own 22, Saltz hits Todd McNair, who gets 12 yards out of this play. With double coverage to the outside, Saltz must use his backs and tight ends. He completes back-to-back passes to tight end Mike Hinnett for a first down at the Temple 42. Then back to Hinnett once more, another 7-yard pickup, first down at the West Virginia 41. Then to Ellis Primus, primarily a blocker all year. He pulls in an 11-yard pickup, first down at the West Virginia 27. 3 plays later, it's 3rd and 9. Saltz back to throw. He finds Hinnett once more, his 4th catch of this series, but Mike is just a yard shy of the first down at the West Virginia 18. Temple calls time. Arians decides to go for the first down on 4th and 1. He calls on Sheldon Morris, but Morris met by middle guard Davis Grant behind the line of scrimmage. No first down, no miracle finish. A year filled with talent and promise ends with Temple a yard short. West Virginia simply runs out the final seconds, keeping their bowl hopes alive and sending the Owls home for the season with a 23-10 loss. Bruce Arians is to look back and look ahead.
Well, the 0-3 start was frustrating for all of us because Boston College was a tough game for 2 straight years. We went up there and we started so well, and then we made a couple mental mistakes that ended up costing us in the first half of a chance to getting way ahead. We had to come from behind, and we're always proud of your kids for fighting all 60 minutes. But we didn't make some smart plays in that game, and it cost us. Penn State, same way. Fourth quarter fumbles or punts. And when you track the first 3 ball games, you're going to find out that the kicking game ended up being very costly. Our inability to make field goals, which going into the season we thought were going to be the strength of our football team. And then the kick return at Penn State where we miss a tackle. It's not the coverage or the design, we just miss a tackle and then they break it. Those are the type of plays that cost you in big ball games, and you can't play that schedule and not make those plays and win. When we got to that locker room at halftime, East Carolina 7-7, we had done the exact same thing. We had a punt blocked. We played good football, offensively and defensively. We were playing very good. But then we make a silly play that the game is tied 7-7. Offensively, we missed a chip shot field goal to end the half. And I guess you can call an explosion on my part. But I was just trying to awaken our ball club of learning the difference between wanting to win and winning. And wanting to win isn't good enough. Everybody wants to win. You've got to go out and play the game and win the game. And the second half of that football game set a pace for about 4 weeks where we went out and won a football game.
From there, 4 straight wins for the Owls, leading up to a critical battle and loss at Syracuse.
I don't think anything different occurred. We continued our same practice plan. Went into the ball game, I think, maybe a little bit too confident, not overconfident, but younger players, for the first time in their career at Temple, got a lot of publicity. You know, Paul Palmer was splashed everywhere. People were taking pride in the fact that we were getting all this publicity. And we went out ready to play. There's no doubt about that. We're in good shape. We take the football and we go down and the field goal hits the upright, comes right back at us. Then we go right back down the field and throw a halfback pass into the end zone for an interception. That's not a bright play. So when you really go back to it in the critical situations this year, the early 3 games and the Syracuse game, the kicking game was the fault.
4 losses closed the season, which had showed so much promise. Now it is time to say farewell to a solid senior class.
It's hard to sit down and talk about what this senior class has done for our program. Todd Bowles, Doug Davis, Jimmy Moore, who came on and played probably better than he's ever played in his life and was capable of playing this season because the situation demanded of him. Jimmy was basically a backup player, and he can go ahead and start and play 60 plays a ball game for the last half of the season. The offensive line gelled into a great group of people. Paul Palmer's statistics prove what they can do. But as far as leadership and how they got to where they are, none of them were very highly recruited football players. Hard-working, dedicated young men, all going to graduate. John is probably the only guy who's going to have a tough time to graduate because he's going to have to take that extra semester that he's going to lose in pro football and maybe come back and get it in the spring. But they're what you want in a football player. And all those kids, and they're going to have degrees, they compete, and they're winners.
the coach. Now, at 60, he will be known as a former coach, calling it a day after 38 years along the sidelines. Actually, Paul Davis had decided to hang it up 3 years ago when he retired as the recruiting coordinator for Alabama. But Bruce Arians and a chance to work directly with young athletes once more brought him back.
I believe my last 5 years at Auburn, where I was coaching on the field, was probably not a happy 5 years because we weren't very successful those last 5 years. My 2 years I spent with Coach Brown at Alabama was mostly recruiting, so I wasn't on the field coaching the kids, and I'd really planned to leave football when Coach Brown resigned and go into a business, and Bruce gave me this opportunity, and of course my wife and I talked it over, and we decided, what's a couple of years going to hurt? We've been in it now. We've been at that time 36 years, and 2 more years at least I'll be back and leave football off the field with coaching with the boys, and this is what I don't regret a day of it. Even though it's been 3 years, I've enjoyed every bit of it.
He is a legend in the South, leading such powerful programs as Mississippi State and Auburn before joining the Crimson Tide. At Temple, he has turned the Owls defense around, gaining national respect and helping a young Bruce Arians develop as a head coach. Through it all, Arians says Coach Davis has kept his priorities in order.
Football is planting seeds and watching them grow in young people. And Paul Davis has planted an awful lot of seeds that have grown into tall trees. And I think that's the measure of a football coach. Not a head coaching record only. He was coach of the year, as the Remote team here in Philadelphia. But people respect Paul Davis for what he is, and that's a quality person who's a heck of a football coach. And had we been the only game in town, I think Philadelphia would have recognized him a whole lot more. And very similar to the way he is recognized down south in Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia. Amongst football people, he's a very, very respected man.